Again. Well, got another cooking video for you guys, and it seems everybody loves these so much. Last night, actually it was the night before, we decided to make a meatloaf. I made that with my buddy Chris. You guys probably know his channel by now, Chris Galosi. And we had a little bit of meatloaf left over. It's not a lot. I actually used some of this yesterday, but I'd say that's about a quarter of a pound. And I kept saying to myself, what can I do with this meatloaf that nobody has tried before? And this would be good as a breakfast or a lunch. But what I'm going to make today is Matt's special Meatloaf Hash. It's similar to corned beef hash, except it's going to be made out of meatloaf. The ingredients I'm going to be using are some extra leftover meatloaf, and again, you guys probably have this, a lot of people have this left over, because let's face it, you always make more than you're going to need that night. Going to just need some minced garlic, salt and pepper, and then I have two different kinds of onions here. I have red onion and some Spanish white onions, which are my two personal favorites. Then the last thing you're going to need here is just some ketchup. So with all these ingredients, let's get started. Alright, first thing I need to do is take the meatloaf, and all I'm going to do is break it apart with my hands. And again, you can use a knife if you want to, but we're not that precise here. So just using my hands is perfectly fine. And you can check out Chris's video. He'll have it posted up probably within a week or so, called the Semi-Healthy Meatloaf. And that's what this is. It's actually made with 50% beef and 50% turkey. Now next, I'm going to go ahead and put in some of this red onion. About a handful is good for me. But I do like a lot of onion, so this is all going to be to taste. And then I'm going to go with another handful of the Spanish white onion. We'll go ahead and put in, this is Pampa mixed garlic. You can get this at Dollar Tree. A whole big thing of this for $1. And that's what it looks like for you guys that are interested. I'm going to do 1 heaping teaspoon. And then last but not least, we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of salt. And a little bit of pepper. About 1 teaspoon each, I would say. Maybe 1 tablespoon of pepper for me, because, like I've said in the past, I really like pepper. So that is it for now. And there's one other ingredient I'm going to add, but I'm going to wait till we go ahead. Actually, 2 other ingredients, but I'm going to wait till we go ahead and put it on the stove. So I'll be back with you guys in just a minute. Alright. And here are the last 2 ingredients I'm going to put in. I'm going to go ahead and throw in, for my taste, 2 of these grade A large eggs. And the last thing to go in there will be some ketchup. Now, the way you want to prepare these eggs is you want to go ahead and get a bowl, which I'm going to reach right over here and get. I'm going to go ahead and break these 2 eggs into the bowl. Go. Alright, now that we broke the 2 eggs in the bowl, we're going to need to go ahead and whisk them. You want them to be fairly mixed thoroughly. I mean, you don't have to go crazy. You can also do this with a fork. It works equally as well, but I just had the whisk handy. Alright, now what we're going to do is go ahead and go over to the stove. Let's see if I can change. There we go. Now, when you cook this, you can do it one of 2 ways. You can either use some butter, or the healthier way would be to use extra virgin olive oil. So go ahead and put maybe about 1/4 cup in there. Put a little bit more in there for good measure. Go ahead and turn your stove on. I want about a medium heat on that. And of course we're also going to need a spatula. And it's going to take just a minute. You want to go ahead and start incorporating your ingredients. The eggs will go in maybe about a minute or two. So once this heats up, I'll show you guys how to put the eggs in. Alright, I'm sure you can hear that sizzle. So we'll go ahead and stir that a little bit more. Remember, you want to go ahead and sweat the onions before you stick the egg in, because once you stick the egg in, it's going to cool it off and kind of stop that cooking process. But since these are finely minced onions, it really shouldn't take that long. Cut the meat up a little bit more, because let's remember, this is supposed to be a hash, so the meat should be fairly thin. Alright. And as you guys can see, the onions are definitely starting to sweat. They're turning a little bit brown and they're getting very pliable. So we're going to go ahead and put in our 2 beaten eggs. Just go right on top. Try to spread it evenly, but the key here is as soon as you put it in, you have to start moving it around, because the eggs will just start hardening, and you want them to be evenly spread between the meat. And again, this is all going to be to taste, so I'm not going to actually put a physical recipe on here. You might want to change a few things to suit your own personal preferences. But if you follow these basic instructions, it's a nice, hearty breakfast or even a lunch that you can do with basic leftovers. Again, you want to make sure you keep stirring this. It's very important, because again, if you don't, the eggs will kind of coagulate and it'll just make a total mess. It'll actually all stick together, and you want this to be just like hash. Actually turn the flame up just a little bit. Alright. And the very last thing I'm going to do is add some just tomato ketchup to this. Now, again, if you don't want that, that's fine. You could just leave it out. You could add maybe tomato sauce or something, but I like a little zing, so I'm going to put in about, say, 3 or 4 tablespoons of ketchup. And I do want to have that cook in there, because it really gives it a good taste if it's cooked in. And remember, we also have that olive oil in there, so once that mixes with the ketchup, that'll give you a nice, really nice sauce. Put just a tiny bit more in there, because it is a little dry. Alright, and there you have it, guys. A quick, easy breakfast or lunch you can make at home with leftovers that most people have in their fridge. Hope you guys enjoyed this cooking video. Please remember to like and subscribe. And as always, have a blessed day, everybody.